Now, the high-speed rail is a hot topic that's frequently talked about here on Three Counties Radio and within our community that live in the Three Counties. It's affecting a lot of areas there, particularly in Buckinghamshire. My next guest is involved with the protection of the Colne Valley Regional Park in the light of the HS2 plans, and he's also here to talk about the other work that they do in the conservation areas of Colne Valley. Stuart Pomeroy is from Groundwork, and he joins me now. Thank you for coming.
Hello, thanks.
So, Stuart, first of all, can you just explain to me who Groundwork actually are?
Well, Groundwork's an environmental charity, and one of the things that Groundwork does is to work with the Colne Valley Park Community Interest Company.
Okay.
As the community interest company, the CIC seeks to protect and enhance the Colne Valley.
And when we talk about the Colne Valley Regional Park, first of all, what do we mean? What are we referring to?
Okay, well, the Colne Valley is the first bit of countryside to the west of London, the first taste of countryside. It includes parts of Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Surrey, Berkshire, and London. But it is a coherent landscape. It's just on the edge of those administrative boundaries.
And there are many attractions amongst those areas that are very fond in our heart here at Three Counties Radio. We've got Black Park down near Iver,
yes.
Chiltern Open Air Museum, Rickmansworth Aquadrome, very much in Buckinghamshire, in Hertfordshire, in our Three Counties, all popular places where people love to go and visit. And so we are talking about some quite, when you put it like that, it kind of reaches out to people. They're like, oh, actually, I didn't know what Colne Valley was, but I do know Rickmansworth.
Yes, and it's all the links between them, the footpaths, the wonderful lakes, the attractive woods, everything in between as well.
Where's your favourite part?
Favourite part of the park? I think walking up the canal between Rickmansworth and Denham has got some lovely attractive areas, and you see you can go up the valley sides and get lovely views over the lakes from up there as well.
Which I'm sure many of you have done before. And of course, if you like wildlife, there's an awful lot of that too, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. There's 20 nature reserves. It's got 13 sites of special scientific interest. It's a fantastic resource for wildlife. Really stuffed full of lots of interesting wildlife.
Why is the park so important, Stuart?
It's important because of where it is. I've already said it's that first taste of countryside to the west of London. And there are 3 million people that live within 10 miles of the park, so it's important for people. It's where it is that's important, and it's still got this attractive countryside so close to our capital city.
And how many people use it? Is it the same 3 million you mentioned?
Well, it's difficult to estimate that. Our numbers put it way over 2 million. When you consider some of the sites that you've mentioned, like Black Park, gets hundreds of thousands of visitors each year, as does Rickmansworth Aquadrome. And then there's all the other smaller nature reserves and country parks and water skiing clubs and sailing clubs and angling clubs that use the park in between.
And when we talk about wildlife, I guess that you have a number of people coming down specifically for that. Is there anywhere particular that you would recommend people go if they want to look for that particular rare bird, or
just all over the park? So that you'll see lots of herons. A lot of birders come and watch for the rare ducks
herons,
on the.
Really? Oh wow.
They look for the rarer ducks on the lakes, which are all man-made. There's about 70 lakes through the park. They're all man-made. They're all a legacy of gravel extraction. But it's turned into a fantastic resource now that's brilliant for wildlife and brilliant for anglers and brilliant for sailing clubs and lots of other people who use it.
So how important then is it to protect Colne Valley?
Well, it's very important to protect it for those people who live in the park, for the 3 million that live around the park, and for people who visit from further afield. And to have high quality countryside like that on the doorstep of Slough, Rickmansworth and London is very special.
You're listening to BBC Three Counties Radio. We're coming up to 2:30. Stuart Pomeroy from Groundwork is in the studio talking to us about the protection of Colne Valley Park and the importance of the park to our people in the Three Counties. After the break, we're going to be finding out about a little-known project called HS2 and some of the effects that could have on the... I'm Sophie Solaria, here with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're talking right now about High Speed 2. It's a hot topic, frequently talked about here at Three Counties Radio. It's affecting a lot of our areas in the patch, particularly particularly in Buckinghamshire. And Stuart Pomeroy is from Groundwork, and he's here involved in the protection of the Colne Valley Regional Park. And we're talking now about the plans for HS2 and how it's going to affect the Colne Valley. Stuart, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm still here.
I'm pleased. So let's talk about the HS2, because of course it is a hot topic. As I said, we're
Yes.
always talking about it here, and people are incredibly interested because of where it's based. How will it affect the Colne Valley?
It will affect the way the Colne Valley is used. The route runs across an outdoor activities centre used by tens of thousands of young children every year. It runs across lakes that are used by lots and lots of fishermen. It runs across a nature reserve. It runs through irreplaceable ancient woodland, and it runs across productive farmland. Now, all of that impacts on the 6 objectives of the Colne Valley Park, which aims to provide a positive use of the countryside, either for farming, for recreation, or for wildlife, or for community involvement, volunteering, or education.
So it's actually really bad.
It's really bad for the Colne
For
Valley
you.
Park, particularly during the construction phase, with 2 huge construction sites within the Colne Valley, at the Chilterns Tunnel Portal and also at over towards Harefield as well.
What are you going to do, Stuart?
Well, we've made our position of opposition to High Speed 2 clear, and we've made the reasons for that clear, because those objectives on the Colne Valley Park, we petitioned against it, we've spoken to our local MPs, we've appeared in front of the High Speed 2 Select Committee, we've certainly made the case clear. If it's going to go ahead, and that, I must admit, if it's gone past the second reading in Parliament, it looks very likely. If it's going to go ahead, then how do we make sure there is some positive benefit for local residents from it? That's what we're now trying to do in the discussions with High Speed 2 and the petition to the High Speed 2 Select Committee.
And how are you going to find positive benefits? How are you going to work with these people? Do you have any plan in your head?
It's mitigating trying to properly mitigate the impacts of the railway. It's not just building the railway through. If we are told this is in the national interest, then that's fine. But what about the local interest and the local communities who live here? What can they get out of it? For instance, the outdoor activities centre, what's going to happen to that? It's currently got a viable use that does something positive for local people. Once you plough the railway line across the middle of it, it's not going to be used as an outdoor activities centre. What is the future for that site, apart from damage and dereliction and gradual further decline? So what we're trying to do is to engage with High Speed 2, try and work with High Speed 2, encourage them to work with us so that we can find a sustainable after use for sites such as this.
We've had a call in from David in Hitchin. David, thank you for your call. David says campaign groups like yours are missing the point. This plan is the best chance that they'll have to improve train lines and maintain an area as it's going underground. It won't be a problem with snow and fallen trees, and the fact they've reduced the value of the housing around doesn't matter, as they could build homes over the top. What would you say to David's points there?
I don't know where to start. First off, in the Colne Valley, it's not going underground. It's going on a huge viaduct that's nearly 4 kilometres, that's going to be several metres above the ground, plus the power lines above that, so it's going to be very visible. You certainly couldn't build houses over the top of that. It will be visible from a long distance, have a huge impact on the park. But the main point being, if this is in the national interest, which we are told, let's do something positive for local people. Can we get better design for it? Can we get better mitigation for wildlife? Can we get a proper thinking about the landscape and the way the landscape works, and see if we can integrate the design into the landscape better?
And it's fair to say that HS2 is not your only threat, is it, Stuart? Because Crossrail's coming very soon, 2016. The Heathrow expansion is on the cards, and all of these must threaten the area out as well, surely.
Yes, they do, and they blight the area. I mean, Heathrow expansion is not a done deal yet. There's still a chance for that one. There are lots of developments, and the Colne Valley is sandwiched. High Speed 2 and Heathrow are 2 of the biggest civil engineering projects in the country, so unfortunately the Colne Valley and our local communities are sandwiched between those two. But, you know, I don't want to be here on the radio talking about Heathrow and High Speed 2. I'd much rather be talking about the attractive Bluebell Woods and the and the lakes and the fishing resources that's used by tens of thousands of anglers each day. But these things are happening, so we are speaking to our local MPs, we're talking to local councillors about the cumulative impacts of these developments, because they shouldn't be considered in isolation. The landscape of the Colne Valley is going to change over the next few decades. Let's influence that change for the better. That's what we're trying to do.
And news hot off the press that you've just had funding granted for a new project with West London Film and Media. Tell us about that.
Yes, this is very good, and thanks to the Heathrow Community Fund for funding that, who put us in touch with West London Film and Media. Basically, this is to produce a short film to tell people about the Colne Valley Park, inspire them about what a special place it is. Yes, make them know about the threats that are there, but encourage them to get involved. This is their local countryside. It is under threat of change. Let's all work together and see if we can come up with a better solution, integrate things into the countryside a bit better.
We mentioned earlier, of course, that HS2 is more or less going ahead. How will a film help at this point, Stuart?
Well, I mean, the film's not going to stop High Speed 2 going ahead, but the remaining bits, what's left of the Colne Valley, we can still promote. There are still some of the nice circular walks through the Colne Valley that aren't affected by High Speed 2. So there are still other areas of the park you can go to, and yeah, it's about awareness raising. It is still a special place, and even some of the areas that High Speed 2 is going to go across. The Old Shire Lane circular walk is lovely, really nice walk, really lovely views, really peaceful in places. Get out there and explore it while you can.
So there are places that will be left.
And there are places that will be left. Rickmansworth Lakes, again, south of Rickmansworth Aquadrome. If you explore the Aquadrome, head south and go for a walk around Stockers Lake and Springwell Lake. There's some lovely wildlife sites there as well.
I can tell how you're talking today that you're very passionate about this, and it's lovely to hear. And it's great that you're out there trying to raise awareness of what will be the future of Colne Valley. So thank you so much for coming in to do that today. How can people get in contact with you if they'd like to get involved or help with the project?
Okay, we'll search for our website, www.colnevalleypark.org.uk. Find us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, share it with your friends. You can find out some more information. There's lots of information on the Colne Valley Park website. People, if they want to help us, can join the Friends of the Colne Valley Park. Click on the Get Involved section as well.
And when will that film be out to watch?
We're hoping that we can get this all done pretty quickly and have a short film ready by Christmas or soon after.
Fantastic. Stuart, thank you for coming in today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you this
Thanks
afternoon.
very much.